SprintCarUnlimited.com, coming to you from Williams Grove Speedway. We're here with race winner, Invader, Justin Peck. Justin, it's got to feel good to get a win at Williams Grove. I mean, especially after some of the struggles you guys have gone through over the last year and a few weeks.
Yeah, it's one of them deals. Like, we kind of feel like we restarted at the beginning of the year. Like, we had different engines than we'd been running last year. Not only were they Chevys, it's just, working with Trent Schaefer, and like tonight we had a Garrett in. It's just different, right? And we got different shocks than we ran last year. We've got different wings than we ran last year. I've got a new crew chief, so we just really, other than the chassis and the driver, everything else changed. And so it just takes time, right? Like, it just takes time to kind of get everything dialed in. Like, I kind of know, I know what I want to feel in the race car, and just takes time to get to that point, right? Like, you're making the right, we felt like we've been making the right decisions, but our timing really hasn't been there. And then, like, we have, there was a night or two, and when we were running out west, or I guess New Mexico and Arizona, the air was really bad, and we weren't up on the fueling with the engine stuff. So I felt like it was just a matter of time. Like, there was a lot of nights where I felt like I had a really fast race car, but it just was untimely when we were fast. It's like, we don't get fast till we start 18th in the future, or 23rd, or whatever, whatever the case was. So it feels good to come in here and get a W. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Williams Grove. I like this place because I feel like I'm pretty solid here, but I also hate this place because it's just a bitch to get around. But yeah, like I said, it feels good. First 410 win with me and Brandon Hickman working together. So yeah, it feels good.
You kind of came here thinking one thing, and it didn't turn out that way. You ended up getting on the front row of a heat race, and you said you were really free and then had to tighten up. Car looked really good, and after the red flag late in that A main, the car got really good on the top, and you were able to surprise Ryan Smith on the outside. He said he didn't expect you to be there, and you just sailed around him.
Yeah, I think like after watching last week, it just was like, it was heavy early, and even come feature time, like, it did slow down a little bit, but it was still pretty fast, and it had a big curb, and it was kind of, it was so gnarly, a bit Macri, right? He just got up on the bike because it was so heavy and thick up there, and so I showed up today like really free and thinking that it was going to be like last week, and we were just horribly free going out for qualifying, so it was like, okay, let's back up. Luckily we knew, right, it wasn't far off our standard package, but we had done maybe 3 different adjustments that were pretty significant to free it up, and so we just kind of backtracked on that. We changed 2 of those things and left the other third one where it was, and it was pretty good. I didn't think we were great in the heat race. I thought we were pretty close. Just felt like I was still too free in the heat race. Just kind of buried left and just kind of sliding across the track. Didn't have much right rear stick, and so we kind of crept up on it. Made a little adjustment there for the feature, and it was better. Still a little free. Luckily, we were able to have an open red and continue to tighten up in the same fashion, and it worked, right? So I felt good. I felt like once the track got really slick, it kind of came to me because I was able to. Even though my car was free, the track slowed down enough to where it came to my pace, right? Like, I was kind of having to slow my entry down, especially sliding across into the thick curb down in 1 and 2. And once everybody else slowed down because of the racetrack, my pace was equal to what theirs was. And then we were able to tighten up, and I was able to run a little faster pace those last 4 laps. So it feels good. I'm happy to get another win at the Grove.
You finished 3rd in the last high limit race. You come here, you win. Do you feel like you're really gaining on it now, and you guys maybe solve some of the problems and have a good package moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of how you start the night, really. Like, especially when you got to go qualify, like with high limit, right? Like, you've got to be. If they split the field, you have to qualify in the top 6 is what it ends up being in your flight. Otherwise, you're going to start 3rd, and odds are pretty good you're not going to make the dash from 3rd. So I think it's just a matter of understanding how tight and how free you need to be, right? You have to try things sometimes to understand what the outcome's going to be completely. Like, each race car is different. So, like, when I was driving to 13, we knew, just hypothetically, say, if we raise the nose, it's going to feel like this. And even if it's too tight, I can do this and overcome it, as a driver. Well, now I'm driving a Maxim, that was an RPM, it's different. So if I raise the nose now, sometimes I'm not going to be able, I don't know how to overcome it right away. And it just kind of takes time, or maybe, okay, we need to do this, but we need to make another change. And that's kind of what it boils down to, is just kind of having a confidence in your stuff, and then the confidence in yourself to be able to overcome some of the issues. So I feel pretty good. I think we've got kind of 2 little packages rolling right now, like a little half-mile package and then a little short track package. So I'm good. I'm pretty happy, and I feel pretty good in the car. And so it's just kind of creeping up on it. Like I was telling you, I didn't I thought we were good tonight, but I don't think it was like National Open win good. I think it's pretty close to that. I think you need to offer a little bit more forgiveness in the car, like just kind of stick the right rear a little bit more, and we'll figure that out, right? So it would just be a matter of it would just be a process of elimination. Now try this, that doesn't work, okay, try something else.
Last thing, how important is it a weekend to come in here, get lap support? Obviously, every high limit guy is going to be there who's coming in this weekend. You get some laps at the Grove. That's got to feel huge to come in here and maybe get some laps other guys don't, kind of work on things, and that's part of the high limit deal. When on these weekends off, you can either race or take time off.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was kind of why we wanted to come here. Like, the original plan was to go to Peevely, and then we kind of were all talking about it, and we're not going to go back to Peevely again, and it's not going to be for a points race, and it's not for a big paying show, right? So we wanted to come here to get laps before the National Open, because the way our schedule works out, I don't think we're going to get to come here until the National Open. So we were able to take advantage of the weekend off, come to the Grove, get to go to Port tomorrow. The next time we show up will be the Weikert, then there'll be the Tusky 50, and there's just a bunch of big races there that with the high limit series and all points races at that too. So just it's good to kind of dial your stuff in. Again, that process of elimination. If you want to try something, you can. It's not going to kill you in the points. Or if you hit on something, you have a great package coming into the big shows.
Well, congratulations on the win.
Yeah, thank you.
SprintCarUnlimited.com, coming to you from Port Royal Speedway. We're here with winner Ryan Smith. Ryan, we talked last night at the Grove. You were just happy to have a good run. Then you come up here and just keep it going and get one spot better.
Yeah, no, it was today was a new day. Last night was shoulda, woulda, coulda, and probably should have won, but didn't. Tonight it was quick time out of in warm-ups and qualifying, and did what I had to do in the heat race, and it was my race to lose, so to speak, starting fourth, and then they go out and water the top, and it was pound around for 10 laps. Whittle goes singing by me like I was on jack stands, and I pretty much said, go have at it. You'll eventually I'll be reeling you back in when it goes away. But no, it was awesome. Great race there with Chase and lap cars, and it was pretty hairy there. It was dicey.
Oh, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, but no, this is great. Get the first one out of the way early. Not early enough, but we got our bad luck out of the way. Couldn't draw a pill the first 3 nights we raced, so now we're time trialing. So get rid of that pill draw stuff, and hopefully go win some more races.
When you do maybe think you should win one, and you thought you gave one away last night, does that kind of give you a little more oomph coming into the next night? And when you're actually out there in that feature, you're like, I don't want to say try hard. You try hard all the time, but do you kind of maybe be a little sharper?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, this sport's humbling. We talked about it last night. Every day is a new day, and today was a new day from last night. We said to forget about it, go on to the day, but then when Chase was running second, I seen him one time, we were battling for the lead, then I had flashbacks. I kind of had to sit up in the seat a little bit, grab some more wing, and just run the hell out of it and try and get away from him. So, for sure, it's in the back of your mind, but you gotta put that behind you and keep rolling.
So you end up tracking them down. You were tracking them down pretty quick. Once Whittle was out, you were starting to log laps, and did you feel like you were in a good spot at that point, just with how quick you closed? And you didn't waste much time getting by him. This car was just hooked up in the middle, typical for this car.
Yeah. No, I was kind of stalking him there I got the second and was moving around, trying some different lines, and I could keep pace. I found a line in 3 and 4 that was maybe a lane lower than he was running, and I could really maybe knock a car length off a lap. And 1 and 2 was pretty even. Didn't matter really where I ran. I knew we were going to get the traffic as long as I didn't get a yellow, and then it was going to get racy. And I showed him a nose in 1 and 2. I think it was 1 and 2. And he moved down going into 3, and I just trucked right around him. Kind of textbook. Worked out in my favor. But and then lap cars was pretty tricky.
Yeah, I mean, twice you had two guys in front of you. You had to split them coming into 3 and 4 twice. I thought man, that's some anxious moments, especially when you have Chase breathing down your neck going into 3.
For sure, and I knew he was going to be there the rest of the race because I couldn't really run him down. Like I wasn't going to drive by him and check out. I knew he was going to be there. I couldn't make any mistakes. Now, one time I got into one, and there was 2 of them side by side, and I kind of followed one in and got tripped up a little bit and needed to get up in front of him, and here he come up alongside of me. So, oh boy, here we go. It was a good race. It really was. These guys, the first 2 weeks, they had this racetrack a little rough, and we actually tore a radiator off last week, hitting one of the holes. So they got that fixed up, and it was, in my opinion, was a great track for us to race on.
Did you need a weekend like this just to, you said about knocking the rust off, you guys struggled. Did you kind of need a weekend like this just to get this team on track to where you guys are used to being?
Yeah, for sure. We struggled last Friday at Williams Grove. Didn't even qualify, and I was having some brake issues and some little things going on. I said to Johnny, I said, we're struggling. I'm struggling, not so much the operation, but this car don't belong going home early. It's usually battling for a win, and we're at least the top 5, and that's all behind me now. It was a struggle in a couple weeks, and it's part of the game. But you got to keep trucking, keep moving on, and figure it out and get better. So here we are.
What's the schedule look like for you this year? When do you get back in this thing?
Next Friday.
To Grove?
Yeah, next Friday to Grove, and then we're going to bring the 6 out to BJD, 6 to Lincoln next week.
Okay, and then just waiting for big shows around here.
Yeah, we're just kind of shooting from the hip. I mean, I have a little schedule put together, but just going to see how the first month went here with the points deal, with the posse points deal, and see if we keep following that with both cars, or kind of see how it goes. Do some travel, and if we don't, so I'm going to race as much as I can. I'm having fun. Hooked up with some good people, so hopefully we can win more races.
Well, congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
SprintCarUnlimited.com, coming to you from Baps Motor Speedway. We're here with winner Chase Dietz. I was doing some stats last night. Last night, I believe, was your second place finish of the year. And, of course...
Nice to tie them up then.
Yeah, well, you had 12 of them last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a big thing for you, and tonight you took care of business, and like you said, equaled that up, got your 3rd win of the season.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've been fast everywhere so far all year, and these early races, I think I talked about yesterday. You get the draw shows and some of the odd surfaces at the beginning of the year. You just kind of got to get those out of the way. We still had speed at those. Might just not have worked out for us, but this weekend was all time trials. I felt we had speed each track, did really well. Tonight, there in the feature was probably the best I felt at BAPS. Probably in a while, if not, in my career. So we got a really good piece, really good team, and I think we're well capable of getting a lot more wins rather than the second places for the rest of the year.
Tricky track. It was up against the fence. It was the dominant line tonight. It was difficult. I mean, obviously starting up front was key, and you were able to set a blistering pace and you had 3-second lead, 4-second lead. Still, lap traffic was tricky, and the track was tricky.
Yeah, I mean, there was no bottom. They got the top got so fast that that's where you had to be, and right from the beginning, I felt really good. But obviously, clean air is a beautiful thing for everyone. But once we got the traffic, I felt I could still keep a really fast pace, and as long as I cleared the lap car as quick as I could, I was fine. And I mean, we would just run down the next one. So I felt the way our pace was and how fast I would, run up on the other guys, I felt we were in good shape. I just needed to not slow down, at that point, slow down that pace, because it's pretty easy to do so, especially you get the traffic. And, then we had that restart with 2 to go, and as far around as the track got, I knew if I could just get through 1 and 2, we were going to be okay. But you just never know. You still gotta be on top of it, still run the shit out of it till the end. And I felt really, really comfortable and very confident with what I had. And hopefully we can just keep with that the rest of the year.
Gio showed you the nose once, I believe, on a restart. I think he tried to slide you, but he pulled out of that pretty quick.
Yeah, I think that was the initial start. Starting on the bottom there wasn't necessarily ideal. I was trying to get at least a run down the front stretch, and the top was a little further down there to start the race. So he tried, and it was a matter of just trying to keep as much speed to get to the middle and beat him off. But this place it's a lot of momentum, especially when it gets like this. So again, starting up front is always great, and it can be good and bad because you don't know where the guys are and where they're moving, behind you. But you just gotta keep pushing. So fortunate enough, we were able to pull this one off.
I believe you haven't won here since when? Is it 2019? They said. Is that something?
19. We've had. You probably have to go back and check all the stats because we
got
had
a lot of
second and thirds in between there. But yeah, I think they showed that on PA Pasta TV today. For the race, that was our first win. That was in 2019 with Lefevre. So, it's been a long time. So I'm glad to at least add a second one to that.
Is it frustrating when you're fast at a place like this and you can't get in victory lane, and then to finally break through, it's got to be a relief.
Yeah, I mean, it just tells you gotta be better. You see Anthony and Danny, they got a lot of wins here, especially in the last couple of years, and they got a good program. They're confident in what they got. I felt like we still have been tweaking on things to get better, but I feel we're very close. We know what we're dealing with, and we got a lot of confidence in each other. So for them guys and the guys that are winning all the time, they've been with each other for a long time, and we're kind of getting to that point where we got a lot of chemistry, and as long as we keep building on that, we can keep winning and keep pulling off wins rather than the seconds and thirds.
Got a couple big races coming up to Sterner next week. Then after that, the Kaufman. Starting to get into these time trial shows and also some higher paying shows. Outlaws come in after that. You won one of those last year. You got to be feeling pretty good going into I would say the time trial part of the season. Yeah,
absolutely. We just got to keep our program going straight, and we're in really good shape right now. It's just, again, we had a couple of bad races, before this weekend, and just stuff happened to us. Like even Friday, we had a flat tire at Selinsgrove, but we're running up front. It's how you rebound from that kind of stuff, and I feel we've been doing a really nice job of doing so, and we're looking forward to the big stuff coming up. I certainly am.
Well, congratulations on another win.
Thank you.
Welcome to another edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com live show. Thank you to everybody who's already in the chat, anybody who calls in. Obviously, a lot of topics to hit on this week as, per your questions. We had high limit guys in central Pennsylvania. I already saw a question in there about Selinsgrove versus Williams Grove. Obviously a lot going on with the World of Outlaws at Peevely. There always seems to be. And, of course, we'll have a lot coming up this week. So let's dive into the questions and take your calls as they come in. Thoughts on high-limit drivers struggling against the World of Outlaws? Do you think it is the Outlaws or tracks causing high-limit drivers to struggle? I mean, that's hard to tell. I mean, high-limit guys have beaten Outlaw guys last year, the year before. I know going to Wisconsin last year, Rico beat him. And it was, I don't think, I just think there maybe not enough races. I know Rico's run less races. Well, he ran more than he did last year, but he came out of the gate slow last year. And of course, people are talking about him coming out of the gate slow this year. Tanner Thorson, that didn't surprise me at all. We had, some other guys show up. Marks ran top 10 against him at 81 Speedway, I believe. I think he was ninth. I just think it's like cyclical. I think they'll have some nights where they do well with the Outlaws this year, and they're going to have nights that they don't. I don't think it's the tracks. Rico's won at Peevely before. The Marks has won with them before. They all have. So I just don't think I think when you're popping in, and to me, it's not a big deal, I guess. But we'll see how it develops. I mean, obviously the big one is high. It's during the month of money. High Bank Nationals, Kings Royal, Knoxville Nationals, those types of events. I think that's when it matters most. The whole Tanner Thorson thing, I gave my thoughts on that. It wasn't a big deal. Most of the field didn't show up down at Volusia, most of the high limit field. I don't think Aaron Reitzel's run with him yet. We'll see how the year progresses. It's not, to me right now, it's not a big deal. John on line one. John, how are you?
Hey, good. How about you, Jeremy?
Not too bad.
Hey, I wanted to ask you a question. Do you know how old Brenham Crouch is, by any chance?
How old he is?
Yeah, how old is he?
I think he's 20, 21, something like that. He's young. He's a young kid. He's a young guy.
Yeah, I didn't think he was quite 21, but it doesn't matter. What I was wanting to ask you about was, his car is sponsored by a whiskey company.
Yeah.
And I know that the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board's pretty adamant about underage people. I mean, you can't even give a case of beer to a minor over at Port Royal when they used to give those away.
Right.
But do you think there's any conflict there, or maybe not? If he's 21, there isn't any conflict. But he's been driving for a few years now.
Oh, he's 20.
I'm hoping that he is 21.
He's 20. I just looked. He's 20, and I don't think anybody's really monitoring it. And as long as he's not drinking it or holding it, it's
probably.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
it's not in his possession. I think that there's no problem. He's driving a car with
my daughter
it on it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I think too. No one really took notice to it. And that's probably why he hasn't heard anything, or the owner hasn't heard anything. But I sent my daughter to school one time a 500 T-shirt of one. I think it was from Pocono or somewhere. And they told her that she had to turn it inside out or go home and change it.
And what was it again? You were away from your phone a little bit.
I said they told her she had to go home and change it or turn it inside out.
And what?
Budweiser.
Oh, Budweiser. Well, you can't wear that to school.
Right. They told her that she isn't 21, so she'd have to take that, turn it around the other way, turn it inside out.
Yeah, I know where.
I don't know.
Well, when I went to school, you couldn't wear any alcoholic beverage slogans on your shirts.
No, nothing.
No.
Right.
No.
Heck, when you went to school, women probably weren't even allowed to wear shorts.
Okay, I'm 54. I'm not like 100. No, they could wear shorts. They wore shorts. It's just you couldn't wear anything with alcohol or bad language on it or anything like that.
Yeah, right. Well, I went to school the only time they could wear shorts when they were decorating for the prom.
No,
No. But I went to school a couple of years before you.
Yeah, probably. Probably.
Yeah, a couple of years. All right, Jeremy, I'm just wondering about that.
All right, John, no problem.
I'll let you go.
Yep, thank you.
Yep, talk to you later. Bye.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye. All right, I believe We have Bob online too. Bob, how are you?
Doing real good.
Good.
I was just going to ask, when my kid was in school, he got sent home for wearing a Hooters T-shirt.
Yeah.
But anyways, I wanted to congratulate you on your prediction skills. Somebody wrote in and said, "Will Tanner Holmes get a top 10 in the 3 races out there?" And you said, "Yeah, he'll get 1," and you even told him where. And I'll be damned if he didn't run 5th there.
Yeah, I mean, Baps is more in his wheelhouse. If he was going to, like the Grove, it was only his second time there. I mean, that you knew that was going to be a struggle. And I actually talked to Tanner at the Grove, and he said it's like nothing he's seen before. And so I knew that was going to be a struggle. And then Port was going to have the largest field. Everybody was going to be there. And I thought Babs would get somewhere between 24 and 30 cars. And it's a place he timed well last year. And I thought he could maybe do some damage there and run top 10, and he finished 5th. So it made sense just because it's the shortest of the tracks he ran over the weekend.
Now, I had a question on the Outlaws.
Go ahead.
What is this crap with getting 15 minutes in the work zone to completely rebuild your car, get pushed out, don't have to go to the back of the field, you get placed in front of the lap cars? I mean, I don't like that favoritism. And how are you ever going to have a points battle if nobody can have a bad night?
Well, first off, it's not favoritism if you get put in front of the lap cars, because theoretically you already passed the lap cars. You shouldn't go behind them. They're not on the same lap. You're ahead of them. So you should be ahead of lap cars. That's been standard. Now as I timed how long gravel was in the work area. It was about 6.5 minutes, maybe 7. Now, when I looked down at my phone to look at the time, was he already? So I might be off a little bit. But here's the problem with the work area. If you want to say, why does gravel get towed back first? Okay, that I can go along with. But your 2 minutes doesn't stop. You still get other people's time. It's kind of misleading. If you have a 3 or 4 car incident and you're the first one to hit the pit area, you get more than 2 minutes. You're going to get everybody else's 2 minutes too. And the fact that it was an open red, which I know people want to complain that it was an open red, but they had a lot of crashes in that A main before that. So I understand the open red. The optics just look bad. And, of course, people are going to think it was 15 minutes. Well, it was longer because other guys got towed back, and they got to give those guys their 2 minutes. And then that just gives more minutes to the guys who are already there who get towed back first. So that's why it adds up.
I heard the horn go off, and I heard Gibson say, "There's the 1 minute warning."
Yeah.
Hell, Gravel and Schuhart weren't even in their cars, didn't have their helmets on. 5 minutes later, they get pushed out of the pits, and I don't know.
Well, I mean, now it takes. It takes till you push every car off, get them lined up, so on and so forth. That takes time, and this is why I don't like the work area, because nobody really knows the rules of it because they've never told you other than it's 2 minutes. It leaves a lot of gray area. People start to question who's getting towed back first all the time. There's just a lot. It leaves a lot of room for interpretation, and therefore people don't have any confidence in it. And then people think something shady's going on. That's why I'm not in favor of it. So, but I mean, the lap car thing, they were always put in front of the lap cars. You don't go behind lap cars. You already theoretically are ahead of them. So,
Well, me and my wife were sitting here watching it, and somebody was in the work zone. And then before he came out, somebody else come in.
yeah.
And then you hear the 16A has requested a visit to the works.
Yep.
And about that time, my wife stood up and said, "Oh, F this. This is ridiculous. I'm going to bed."
Yeah, and this is this is why I don't like the work area, because it just leaves way too much room for interpretation in it. And I don't think that's good for the sport. I don't think it's good when there's so many questions about, a particular issue, or like in this case, the work area. And, and Gravel's team's good at getting that car out. Now, Schuhart didn't even have time to get a front wing on. So, but he was back there second or third. Macedo was down there too, Cole Macedo.
Yeah. Then Austin McCarl stops on the track. They
Yeah.
push him in right to the work area.
Yeah.
The guy tries to reach up underneath the bonnet, and I figured he probably had a mag out. And you hear, "Cars are in line. We go green next time." He didn't even get 30 seconds.
Well, well, first off, did he say something to the official they were done, which that cuts it short? Also, what lap was it? Because once you're past halfway,
it could have been past. It could have been past the halfway, but
yeah,
I don't know. It seemed fishy to me.
it's
But,
the interpretation of it.
Yeah, I just thought the whole thing seemed rather shady, and that's my rant for the week. And I'll let you go. Thanks for taking the call.
No problem, Bob. I appreciate your call.
All right, bye.
Bye. Mike on line 3. Mike, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you, sir?
Hanging in there.
Hey, was it BAPS on Sunday? First of all, if you didn't like that race, you don't like sprint car racing. I just thought the track was great. They let it all hang out, all that.
Yep. A little too top dominant. Just a little too top dominant. Would have been good if there would have been a lower groove.
Yeah, I'd rather have top dominant than the bottom dominant.
I'm not going to disagree with that. Touche.
Yeah, exactly. So, the move, Dietrich and Tanner Holmes, one singular move. Was that shit cool, or was that Big Brother saying this is my racetrack?
I just think it was tough to pull off sliders, and I think Dietrich took a shot and he didn't clear him. It's as simple as that. I mean, when you have a track that is that top dominant, you're going to have stuff like that happen because A, it was slick. B, again, the only way you were going to go by somebody is if you were going to slide them. And it was going to be coming off exit, and the guy's freight training around the top, and you're going to have stuff happen. Now, again, Danny, I don't think Danny was even close to clearing him. But I don't think he looked at Tanner Holmes and said, you're an invader. I'm gonna board you. I don't think it was that. Him and Tanner and Danny were battling throughout for a good portion of the main event. And I mean, there might have been something I missed as far as between them watching, everybody else in the field, but you're going to have that on tracks where it's top dominant and you got to pull sliders to pass. I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying you're going to have that.
Well, personally, I think that, again, just great racing. I happen to like both of those guys in particular, and I thought it was really cool that they were going after each other. I do think that there was a little bit of stuff before that.
Yeah.
I do think that I do think that Danny probably said, "Nah, that ain't happening."
Yeah, I mean, he might have.
But whatever.
Yeah, he might have basically thought, hey, Tanner's going to have to back out of it, or he's going to get put in the wall. They call those business decisions.
Anyway, bottom line, good shit.
All right.
Good stuff. Great racing.
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, again, I would have liked to have seen another more defined groove there. But what are you going to do? Daylight surface, and there wasn't a ton of cars there.
So you like the bottom groove just because you want more than one groove?
Yeah, I want you to be able to move around and pass in multiple areas of the track. I don't want it to be. I mean, it was good from like second to fifth because it was hair raising, so to speak. It was. You didn't know if somebody was going to go out over the boards or what. But no, yeah, I like multiple grooves of racing, and we didn't really get that. We didn't have a high car count. So you're not, there's more times than not, you're not going to get that if your car count's not that high. And it was just one of those, it wasn't bad. I'm not saying it was bad. I just would have liked if there would have been a bottom there.
All right. Thank you, Jeremy.
No problem, Mike. Take care. All right. What else do we got? Any thoughts on all the uproar for the work area debacle with Whitall? It happened on lap 11, so there was time left, obviously halfway. He had a busted axle. I know we were down in turn 4 and we saw the 360, didn't see the entry, but I talked to him afterward. They weren't getting it out anyway because they had a busted up axle, some front end damage. They had contact with JT Ferry, which is what caused the 360 deeper into turn 3. I don't think he would have made it out anyway. So it was, again, not a big deal. Will Buddy Schweibens win a feature at Williams Grove this year? I'm going to say no. A lot of time trial shows, not enough handicap shows. I thought he looked great last Friday night for John Westbrook. I wrote a story for SprintCarUnlimited.com. Put it up today. It was fun watching that car out front. It was fun watching that car finish. I think that's important. And I think Buddy Schweibens looks really good. He's run 6 races this year. He has 1 top 5, 3 top 10s. I think that's pretty good, running 2 different cars at Williams Grove and Port Royal. And he only has 12 races in the 410 sprint car division. So I think that's really good. I think he's progressing well. It's a guy to definitely watch in the future. Jeff Foote is the crew chief. He's from the Joe Hars days, worked under Timmy Elwell. I think they have a good little combination, driver crew chief. And I'm glad to see John Westbrook's car run up front. They led 18 laps. It's going to be tough, though, to win at the Grove with so many sanction shows, specials. I think that's going to be difficult. Do you think the better of the Battle of the Groves controversy is any good for the sport? It feels like people are beating dead topic. I don't think it's good. I mean, Sealands Grove had 18 cars, and they had Kerry Madsen, who's an invader. So, and the Grove had 25. So I don't think it's good at all. I don't understand it. And I'm pretty sure that Williams Grove probably isn't too happy about it. I heard some rumblings that some guys were being enticed to go up north. I heard some rumblings about that in the pit area on Saturday. So, again, that's something that isn't going to go over well. And I just don't see the point in splitting up the field on a Friday night when you're going to get 18 cars. I just don't And I don't want to hear, I heard somebody say, well, I guess it might have been on social media. Somebody said, well, why'd the Williams Grove schedule over top of them? Are you kidding me? Williams Grove has had Friday nights since I can remember. So I don't know where that comes from, just because maybe Selinsgrove put out their schedule first, but so what? You know what you're doing. I just don't think it makes sense. It just doesn't make sense to me at all. So take that for what it's worth. What do you think of all the Knoxville changes? I love the change in the lap changes for the A mains. I think it should be 25 and 20. So really in favor of that. I don't understand, and I got to read it again. I didn't understand their format. So they're going to invert, I guess, 4, and the heat race. I have to read the format end of it. I don't really, the way it read, it sounded kind of weird to me. The heat race winner, I think, starts 8th in the A main and back through. And to me, what's the point of winning the heat race? That just seemed a little off to me. So I got to read it again, but I love the lap changes. I think that's long overdue. I thought it was kind of weird having 18 lap 360 races. And sometimes, now Knoxville has some pretty good racing, but you almost get to lap 20 and you want more. Things are getting really good and you want more. So I'm really in favor of the lap changes. Again, I have to look at the format. It read a little hokey to me. Might expose myself here. Okay, we don't want you to do that. But I never knew the Knoxville weekly format. Oops. It was a point format. It was, you got points for time trials, points for heat races, and then they inverted so many by points in the A main. Not a ton different than what the Knoxville Nationals is. So they went away from the point format and now have gone to this time trial inversion, and then how they line up the A mains where I got a little shaky. So admittedly, I really haven't had time to look at it coming off a 3-race weekend, but I will coming into this week's opener, which, by the way, free admission to the grandstand. I think Knoxville, it's a great idea. I'm anxious to see what their crowd looks like and if they can retain some of those people who maybe wouldn't go if it was $20, $25, or whatever it is. Is Blaine Heimbach racing in 2026? Surprised he wasn't at Selinsgrove last Friday night, and he hasn't been at Port Royal yet. I hear he's coming out in May. He's just not starting this early. Concerned about Rico. Schatz is doing better away from Tony. I did a 90 at 9 on Monday about Rico, and his numbers are better. Other than that, last year, the same weekend at Peevely, he had a DNQ. Now, he came back the next night and finished 4th, so people forget that. So the only difference between last year and this year is he has one more DNQ. However, his average finish is better this year if you take out the DNQs from the 1 DNQ from last year and the 2 DNQs this year. It's 6.8 this year. Last year it was 8. And 2 years ago, he had 13 races in at this point. I think he went to Volusia. His average finish was 9.07. So he's ahead of the last 2 years. So I'm not concerned with Rico yet. As for Donnie Schatz, he looks really good. Now, I'm a little concerned there. He's not timing great. I believe the second night he was better. You know, when you roll into Williams Grove, is he going to be able to come from 17th to 5th or 4th? So he's going to have to – I'm still waiting for this team to time a little better. But Schatz has 6 top 5s, I believe. He had 11 all of last year. He looks really good. Looks really good. And he's 4th in points. Now, I still think it's the big 3 and everybody else out there. Something I think Buddy Kofoid's is proving. Considering there's been 13 World of Outlaws races, and Gravel and Kofoid have won 7 of them. So it's definitely big too, and I think Carson Macedo will pick up the pace here. But Donnie looks good, and I thought he would have a better year. Dr. Midnight on line 6. Always like hearing from the doctor. What's up?
I just started listening to the show, and I heard you answer someone's question about cars going to the work area.
Yeah.
And you were mentioning that Gravel got there first.
Yeah.
So he gets more time. Why don't they just time each car separately?
Well, how about we just get rid of it altogether?
Well, we want that.
Yeah.
But if you get a penalty in hockey, you get a penalty, a 2-minute penalty, and 30 seconds later your teammate gets the penalty. They don't let you out at the same time.
Agreed. I agree with you. This is a made-for-TV thing, and I don't think it draws one other person. I don't think it draws one other person to the racetrack. I know some officials with the Outlaws will disagree. I've never heard anybody say, hey, I'm paying to go to an Outlaws show to see the work area. It would, what you're saying makes sense, but I don't know.
Also, you said the guy mentioned that you get to go in front of the lap cars.
Yes.
And you said because you passed them.
Well, you're already a lap ahead of them.
Well, if you're running 12th and the leader lapped 3 guys, why should you be ahead of the lap cars you yourself never lapped?
And I understand that. I think this becomes a scoring issue because they don't have loops. So I think just to take out because he's
too much work.
Yeah, because I know they have transponders, but they also have hand scores. And I do think you start looking at, if you're a lap car, you're a lap down. That's it. You're not on the lead lap. I have no problem with them going in front of non-lead lap cars.
But what if the leader gets a flat and the leader's the only car that lapped 5 guys? He pulls in.
See, Dr. Midnight thinking. See, I've seen, if the leader, let's say something happens to the leader, goes in, comes back out. I've seen it happen both ways. I mean, technically he passed those guys already, so should he have to pass them again? There's no wave around. There's no lucky dog or wave around like NASCAR. So to me, he should go in front of them. He's passed already.
Yeah, but that means everyone should be on the lead lap.
Well, no, because he's already, let's say it's lap 10 and he lapped them. And let's say he goes into turn 1. Well, he's already completed lap 10. The lap cars are still on lap 9. So why should he go be? Why should
he? I just don't think you should be ahead of lap cars if you've never lapped them yourself.
That becomes a scoring. You're
saying it's too much to ask for this sport to know this.
Well, look,
like time each car in the work area, it would take too much manpower to monitor that. So we'd just have a big gray area.
Well, this sport is a gray area because you've heard them say about open reds. The reason they let them do pretty much anything is because they don't have enough officials to watch everyone.
Okay.
So you're not wrong.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
All right, Doctor. I appreciate it.
Get back to the show.
I will. All right. What else do we got here? We have Tom on line 5. A lot of calls tonight. Tom, how are you?
Hello?
Hey, Tom, how are you?
All right. Well, I had my phone turned down when I was going to ask you about Blaine Heimbach. Why isn't he running? I had my phone turned down.
He's going to be out in May. He just hasn't come out in the early season. It's too early in the season. He's going to come out end of April, early May, I was told.
Okay, what happened to the 35 car, the Sirokich car? Is that done?
I think right now, yes. They had some things go on. I believe it was either family or business. They just had stuff outside of racing going on, and I don't know if it'll be back in the future, but they shut it down for now.
Okay, I wanted to comment on Selinsgrove now.
Go ahead.
Selinsgrove doesn't want to run against Port Royal. I mean, they're too close together.
Fair.
That's why they want to run Friday. They want to run late models. It's the people that are running that track are basically late model people. It's
Yes.
all Long's daughter.
Yep.
So I mean, and the Grove before Selinsgrove even started running sprints on Friday, the Grove was only getting 18, 19 cars. They weren't even getting full fields.
When was this?
That was before Selinsgrove. What's that?
When was this?
When was this? This is before Selinsgrove started running sprints. Selinsgrove only started running sprints last year. And before that, the Grove was only getting 18 cars, 19 cars. Nobody was showing up. There was nobody in the stands.
Well, here's the thing. So the Grove has never averaged under 24 cars for a year. So they got 18, like 1 or 2 races. They were yellow breeches races. They weren't consistently under 24. Number one. Number two, if there's if there's only 18 cars at Williams Grove, why would you run 410 sprint cars at another track?
Well, most of the cars that are at Selinsgrove aren't going to run at Williams Grove anyway.
Chase Dietz, Danny Dietrich.
Well, Dietz and Dietrich, yeah. But I mean, a lot of these guys, Blaine Heimbach's not going to run there. Who the other guy? Most of them guys that are there are not going to run Williams Grove anyway. If they can.
But
I mean, Selinsgrove, I'll guarantee you, I saw it on TV. Selinsgrove had probably had twice as many people in the stands as the Grove.
Let me ask you something.
They had a real big crowd.
Let me ask you something. How many does Selinsgrove fit in their grandstand?
How many sit? I don't know, but they have all those seats up in the corners and that. There was a lot of people there. I can tell you that.
I bet you there were a
lot of people there.
I bet you there weren't even 2,000 people there.
Oh, I bet you there was.
I bet you there wasn't because the largest crowd.
They had one of the biggest crowds they've had in a while.
The largest crowd in Selinsgrove history under the Hefner regime was about 2,800, and I know that crowd wasn't and I know that crowd wasn't near that.
I'll guarantee you. Now, this wasn't for racing, what I call racing. When Ted Rice was there, they used to have these enduros.
Yeah.
And they had 6,000. They had 6,000 people there for those to watch that stuff.
I would dispute that. I would dispute that because
no, it's a fact.
Based on what?
6,000 people there to watch that junk.
So where'd they put them? Because the grandstand only seats about.
There. I don't know. It was they had a lot of people there. They had really record attendance when the Zeckmans were running it. When they started these pack the tracks, there was a lot of they were really big crowds.
Well, so my question.
Had some really.
So then my question's this: if they're packed, why aren't they making money? Why does it keep changing ownership?
Well, I don't know. They got to give a lot of the money away to the fair board.
It's 30,000. It's 35,000 for the year. If they're packing the track, then they should make that easy.
Well, they don't pack it all the time.
I haven't seen a good crowd there yet.
They don't pack it all the time. Nobody, the Grove doesn't pack theirs all the time either, unless they have the World of Outlaws. I mean, I've been going to the races for longer than I've been going since I was 12 years old, and I'm 74 years old. I've been to a few races.
I'm not doubting that, but again,
I know what's going on.
I can tell you that they did not have 3,000 people at Selinsgrove the other night, and I'd be willing to bet they didn't have.
To me, there was a lot of people there.
it doesn't seat that many.
I mean, there was a lot.
It doesn't seat enough.
Well, there was a lot of people there. However many there was.
I had pictures of the
people there.
I had pictures of the grandstand. I know how many people were there. I had pictures of each side of the grandstand, and look, I hope they do well. I don't have anything against them. But if they want to run late models Friday, and then run sprints on Sundays when BAPS doesn't run.
Well, no, if they can run when they want to run. I mean,
sure.
Williams Grove doesn't have any claim to anything.
Hey,
it's a business.
Yes,
they do what they want.
Yes, and my response to that is go with God, and let me know how that works out, because they've already cut down from 4 to 2, and there's a reason for that. It wasn't because they made money. If they made money, they would have done it more.
They run 410s with the late models because that is a great show. 410s and big block late model. That's a great show. I mean, it draws people in.
Why wouldn't they run them? If it was great last year, why aren't they having 4 this year?
Having what?
Last year they had 4 against the Grove. This year they have 2. Why did they decrease it?
Well, some of it maybe has something to do with that posse thing. Maybe, I don't know. They have that posse thing now where you can't run against the other one on that night. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
Well, the Williams Grove only has 10 of those.
Well, Seals Grove only had, what do they have? 2 or 3. They didn't get very many.
They might have 4. They might have 4 because they have, I think, both, and I'm not sure. I just can't remember the schedule. I think it might be 2.
Well, two of them were probably the Nace race in October.
Yeah. So, and the Grove's
and one of them is going to be Speed Week.
It won't count towards the points, but yes.
And then you're going to have one other one. So that's
4.
Probably the reason why they cut down, because, you know, they got this PA posse thing. That's probably the reason. But
well, they're going to pay $7,000 more than they did last year for those races.
Well, they're doing good. I hope they do good. And I mean, I think they're going to.
I have nothing against them.
A lot of people don't like it that they're running against the Grove, but the people up this way are happy about it.
I mean,
they don't have to go down to Williams Grove.
As long as they make money, and do well, that's great. I have nothing against them. I mean, I hope they do well. I hope they stay around, but I just don't understand the move. I just don't understand.
Well, it's money. Like everything else, it's money.
They're not killing it on those sprint car shows.
It brings people into the stands.
You could again. We can disagree on how much money they're making off those shows.
Well, those 410s do bring in people. I mean,
again, it's $15,000 operating costs alone. It's the economics, but hey, we'll see how it all works out.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see how it all works out.
That's my place. That's my place to go Friday. I mean, the only thing I don't like about it is I like to go to Big Diamond on Friday, and now,
yeah,
can't go to Big Diamond on Friday because it, you know, so that's the only downfall of it for me.
Well, I mean, we'll see how they do too.
Well, people are just going to have to get used to it, because I don't think they're going to get away from it as long as they're doing okay.
Well,
I mean, Danny Dietrich, you get the big names like Danny Dietrich and Chase Dietz, you know, and stuff like that. That draws people in.
Well, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
All right, that's all I got.
All right, Tom. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it.
Right.
Yep. All right. Let's get through some of these questions. How about those Flyers? Yeah, look really good. Surging late in the season, young roster, ahead of schedule. They were supposed to They were supposed to not make the playoffs this year, building year, and they look pretty good. Going to play the Penguins in the first round, and I think it's a toss-up series. Disappointed in Marks this past weekend. I expected a win, but not sure the crew change was the problem last year. Can't believe he didn't support Baps on Sunday as they sponsor him. Yeah, I mean, he had 2 top 5s. It was a consistent weekend. It wasn't a ton of passing at Williams Grove. I think the track was okay. I just had fast guys up front. I just don't think you can make a lot of headway. Port Royal, look okay. Baps, I'm not sure why he didn't go to Baps. Maybe he headed out west. Maybe he had some motor stuff to do to get ready for the high limit races. They have Lakeside, Lucas Oil, and Eagle over a 5-day stretch. So maybe he just wanted to prepare for that. I have no idea. But it's a consistent weekend. I'm sure he threw some stuff at it to try and get better. And, Peck won, though. So, Jeremy, are you surprised to see Donnie Schatz in 4th in points, only 84 out? I thought he would have a better year. I'm not surprised by the win. 4th in points, maybe a little bit. I thought maybe 5th or 6th in coming. I thought it would take, some more time for him to gel with that team, so to speak, and because they started that deal really late. But he's been impressive. Again, not surprised about the win. Not surprised that he is doing better than last year, but 4th in points a little bit. Pete on line 7. Pete, how are you?
I'm good. How are you this evening?
I am fine.
Hey, I just called to preach to the choir.
Okay.
I went to an ASCS show this weekend.
Yeah.
Hot laps at 6:30.
Yep.
They run 3 support classes. I left at 8:45, and they were just starting the heat races for the second support class.
Ooh, ouch. Ouch.
And I know you've talked about it before. It's the money at the back gate and this and that, and the pits were plumb full.
Yeah.
But I left there and went and was crashed at my in-laws' house, and my father-in-law said something about the races, and I said, hell, I didn't see them. I said, I left. I got tired of waiting. And he said, you didn't watch the sprint car race? I said, no. And I told him, I said, they were starting the heat races for the second support class. And he's like, there's no way I can go sit through that.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it before. It's like the sport can't get out of their own way sometime. And I mean, that'd be hard to get, even a fan, I'm a fan. I wanted to go watch them. I can't do the, just on and on and on. And not to say the sport classes aren't good racing. I mean, I've seen great stock car races before, but that's not what I went there to see. That's not what was on the top of the banner. And then we're stuck watching, heat races for an hour and a half.
Look, especially with ASCS there, you're trying to showcase a traveling series, and to have that much time devoted to other divisions, it's counterproductive. It makes people not want to go back. We talk about why people aren't going to the races, and I think some of it is the length of show, and that certainly doesn't help that. So, yeah, that's disappointing.
Yeah. And I mean, the heat races were pretty good. I mean, they were what they were. Those cars on that racetrack are, I think, almost any car on that racetrack, but man, they're fast. That track is just, it was the Salina High Banks.
Yep.
The high limit ran there a couple years ago, but man, that track is so fast.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that place. Again, I don't know. I just, that many support divisions, you just get tired. You just want to see, you just want to see more. You just want to see the damn premier division.
It was one of those deals where it was just kind of a bummer. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't mad. I paid my money. I went. It wasn't like I was pissed. It's just, damn it. Like, come on, let's get through some of this. Or even, I don't know, call me crazy. It just feels like when you realize it's kind of dragging a little bit, it's like, okay, let's bump up some of these guys. You know, let's bump up our sprint cars, which they ran their heats first. So that, you know, it's like, okay, that's great. Now let's run everything else kind of, you know, ahead of schedule too when it started to get late. But it is what it is. I'm glad they were there. I love that racetrack. That racetrack is super nice. I mean, you really can't say enough good things about the racetrack. The track is nice. Seems like it races pretty decent, and the facility is awesome. Every time I go back, they've done something different, and it's the facility is amazing.
They're trying to compensate for a lack of fans. What was the fan count like?
It wasn't.
Fair enough.
Crazy.
That's
well.
why.
I will say they have a restaurant and bar that overlooks the racetrack, and if you didn't have a reservation, you weren't sitting down to eat. They opened at 5. I walked in at 5:10 and waited about 15 minutes to get a seat, and it was packed out. So there might have been another, you know, however many people up there you couldn't see from the racetrack, but it definitely wasn't a full house by any means.
No. It's a shame then, you know, you didn't get to see the ASCS main. That's what you were there to see, and that's never good. That's, you know, High Limit, World of Outlaws, they don't do that stuff, so.
Right, they don't, yeah. Hey, it is what it is, man. Like I said, I was just glad to get out to the racetrack. So got to see the heat races. There was nothing wrong with the heat races. So.
Well, that's good.
It is what it is. And yeah. Hey, have a good evening, Jeremy.
Thanks, Pete. I appreciate it.
See ya.
Yep. All right. We got John on line 8. John, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Not too bad.
All right. I don't want to beat a dead horse here.
Okay.
I know you were talking earlier. A guy that he was kind of really playing up Selinsgrove, and I want you to understand that I love Selinsgrove because I only live like 20 minutes, from the track. But
yes,
I kind of feel like the biggest problem Selinsgrove has is with the facilities itself. And, you know, you go to Port Royal, it's night and day. You go down to Williams Grove. I understand it's hard to really put a lot of money into the facilities when you're not bringing big crowds, and no, Selinsgrove not. But as much as I want to support them, they need to work it out with the other tracks. I think that they're not running against each other. If I can say that the right way.
Well,
kind of wonder what you think about all that.
Well, John, one of the reasons it's tough for Selinsgrove is, I think, if you put money into it, you don't own it. Like they lease that from. So to put a bunch of money into it to, say, make improvements, I don't know how much you're getting out of that because you don't own the improvements. Unless it's like equipment, like track equipment, things like that, maybe fryers or something you bring into the concession stand. But if you're making capital improvements, those are going to stay with the racetrack. That's a problem. And so I understand the challenges of Selinsgrove in that regard. I don't blame them at all for that. My issue with running against Williams Grove is you come out of the gate, you're trying to change the stigma that was there under the last regime, and you run against the Grove right away. I thought that was just not well thought out. And then you turn around when this PA Posse Series deal comes about, and the object of that thing is not to run against each other. Now, people are going to say Port Royal, Lincoln. Port Royal and Lincoln, for them to take off when the other one runs a series race is monumental because those tracks have always run against each other. And it used to be 3 tracks on one night when Sealands Grove ran Saturday night years and years and years ago. So it just doesn't make sense to me why you would do that. I wish them the best. I hope that they do well. I hope they can resurrect the Speedway. It's kind of tough to make those capital improvements when you don't own it. That's a hang up. That's a hang up I would have if I leased the place.
Yeah, I get that. I do get what you're saying. I mean, Juniata Fairgrounds owns Port Royal, but
yeah, but they have to spend the money.
I know. Right.
It's so. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah. I mean, I really hope Sealands Group can keep it going too, because I hate to see a local track closed down.
Yes.
But, I mean, Grandview. I've been to Grandview quite a few times too, and they could use some love. But
yes, they could. Yes. Don't deny that. I don't deny that.
But yeah.
All right, John. Well, again, get out, support them. Go there one Saturday night or
I do.
Friday night, and
we'll be heading up to Port quite a bit. I'm looking forward to the Bob Weichert Memorial. That's going to be a good one. It was last year.
Yeah, a lot of people
wasn't
like that.
The greatest, but a
lot
can't do anything about that.
Yeah, no, we don't control that. So, all right, John, I'm going to get back to the chat. I appreciate you calling.
Yeah, no problem. Take care.
Yep, take care. All right. What else we got? We got Ken on line 9. Ken, how are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good this week, Jeremy.
Good.
I just thought I'd better throw in my 2 cents on a couple of the things you've been discussing. I'm very familiar with the Sealands Grove situation because I've lived in Sealands Grove and I've been there many, many, many times.
Right.
And worked there a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And the grandstand holds 1,200 people, the main grandstand.
Yep.
Where they would have put 6,000 people, I have no idea.
I think that's a tall tale. Let's put it that way.
Double the tail, probably, if not triple. But anyhow, that the real problem with Sealands Grove had 18 cars on Friday night. They wouldn't have had Joey Amati or whatever his name.
Yeah, that's a good point. Amatea would have run the All-Star race out at Attica, but they canceled.
Right, and they wouldn't have had Terry Masden.
Correct.
Had he not been out with the high limit.
Right.
So they would have had 16 cars.
Yes. And
the majority of the cars are towing from the Harrisburg area. So it's going to be really hard to get anybody to tow up, even if they are a car that's just wanting to make the show. To tow all the way up here with the price of diesel fuel and everything else involved, it's just they're really going to be battling themselves here. And then if they have a couple more rides, I guess they only have one, but even the ones that they're going to be by themselves are going to be struggling to get cars to come up here because right now there's no cars from the Snyder County area.
Well, and you bring up a good point.
Derek Cow. Derek Cow.
Yes.
Is from up this way, but he's running a different car, so he wasn't there. Steve Buckwaller blew a motor the first night. He hasn't raced since. Jason Schultz raced and Mark Smith raced, but they're not really local. Well, Mark Smith's not even a local car. Jason Schultz may be. Heinbach hasn't been out yet. Left Ferry, the 18, he's all the way up in Drums, but he didn't come down here. So there's just no cars in this area. I mean, that's the whole problem.
Well, here's how I see it. Then I'm going to get back to the chat. You know, you're asking teams to come. You have a wide swath of cars are from south of Harrisburg, and you're asking them on Friday work hour traffic to drive up through Harrisburg and 11 and 15. Okay, not going to happen. That's one problem.
That's
second
true battle.
Second,
before you go to okay, go ahead.
Secondly, if the teams that are from up there they're not going to run 2 and 3 nights a week. They run one. Most of them.
Right.
So it's just too much. It's a big ask. That's why I'm not a big fan of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. The only other thing I wanted to comment on,
go ahead.
I heard one of the experts commenting on the situation at Tivoli. My only thought there is it was a racing accident, but both drivers were out of their cars, standing on the track, went through violent flips. If they're so concerned about safety these days, how can they let them put them cars back together real quick enough to get out there on the track? They might have even had a concussion from the wild flip that they went through. I don't think either one of them drivers, Gravel or Trueheart, could have been allowed back on the track.
Well, you bring up an interesting thing with concussions. There's no concussion protocol, it seems like. I mean, that's a fair point. I can't argue that point. I can't.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking the call, and you have a good week.
All right, Ken. Thank you very much. All right. Let's knock some chat stuff out. We're probably piled up there. Huge weekend for Buddy. Can't help but think if that first night at Volusia would have counted, where would the points be? Be closer. Simple as that. Carson Macedo, you have to ask yourself where he would be. But it didn't count. Everybody knew it going in. Here we are. I did something on it. Check out the 90 at 9 this morning. I talked about Buddy. Obviously, I have a bet with somebody about Gravel and Kofoid. I have Gravel winning the championship. I have Buddy winning it next year. I'm not as confident as I was 3 weeks ago. I know that. And Buddy, he's just getting better. So I think we're going to have a point battle with the World of Outlaws this year. Will Logan Schuchart versus David Gravel continue to be a thing throughout the season? No, I don't think so. These guys race against each other every night, and I don't think it's not like the old days. You crack up cars now. I mean, they're a little more expensive than they used to be. And I think if it would get to a point where it's really bad, I think they would meet and do whatever it is they do. But I don't think this is going to be an issue throughout the season. What a disappointing weekend at Attica. I did see that it looked like it rubbered up in the feature. That's never good. It's not the way you want to start your season, whether you're the All-Stars or Attica. At least that's what it looked at. Like, I watched it. I saw somebody's phone and watched it at Port. Not a good deal. Do you know who all plans on running whole PA Posse series? I know 16 guys have run the first 3 races. I expect Matt Campbell, Troy Wagaman Jr., Freddie Raymer. I think Cody Hartlob. That's 4. I expect. I wouldn't be surprised if Lance runs the bulk of it and maybe takes the 3 mulligans. And really, that's what it could come down to rainouts. Depending how the weather is. and what shows get clipped, you could see more guys run it. Say when Danny Dietrich's at Ohio Speed Week or Knoxville or whatever, and it rains out around here, that helps a guy like Danny Dietrich. That helps a guy like Chase Deeds and other guys. I think that's going to play a role in it. So right now I see about 6 guys, but it could obviously change if the weather cooperates with more teams. Damon on line 10. Damon, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Hi, Jeremy.
Hello. What do you got?
Hi, Jeremy.
Yep. How are you?
So, I'm good. I said I was going to talk about Sealands Grove, but I don't want to talk about Sealands Grove. Like, my main thing was, like, my dad grew up, my grandpa, and he used to watch, like, 6 classes.
Yep.
So I never mind a lot of classes. I like the more classes in a way, the better. I like being on a dirt track.
Yeah, and look, back in the day, I remember sitting at Silver Springs till 1:00 in the morning, and it didn't matter. But times change, and people have more things to do. There's more activities out there to do. It's a faster society than it used to be, and it's just there's a saying. It's called a fast food society, meaning people are on the move, doing more things, and entertainment is a perfect example of that. So I think that's why the needs of the newer fan are different than maybe the diehards.
Yeah.
I think that's why that is.
And you know I'm a modified guy, right?
Yep. I know you're a modified guy.
So what did you think about the 358 at Bash?
I like the modifieds. I actually grew up. My first race was at Penn National in 1977, which was a modified super sportsman show. So I'm well aware of the modifieds. I like the modifieds. I thought it was a really good race. They only had 18 cars, but it was good. Pouch gets the win, but it was close there at the end. And I always like when the modifieds come around. I remember them at Port Royal when they used to run there weekly. That's probably before your time. I like the modifieds. Mike Mallett does a great job covering them. In fact, I talked to him today a little bit. So, yeah, I like the modifieds.
Real quick though, it was the first time, so but you understand that, and I think it was good promoting wise for the track.
Yeah, no, I
like promoting the track.
Oh, you mean Babs?
Yeah, I think that was good for promoting the track. Like,
Yeah, I mean Babs
out there.
Babs has hosted.
That was really good.
They've been hosting the modifieds for about 5-6 years now, 7 years.
Well, okay, well, yeah, but that was first time for 358s, and they don't have it that much, and I was just
no, they only have it twice a year.
The track was really.
Yep, no, it was good. They're going to be back there in November.
Oh, well, the track was really, really smooth for them. That was good.
Yep, no, it was good.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy.
Yep, thanks, Damon. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. I got the 1 minute sign from Eric. I don't know. Maybe he's telling me I'm number one. Oh, Will on line 11. Will, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm hoping that the Sweet and the 57 car Dominance will be dropped this weekend at Thunderbolt.
Are they gone?
No, I'm hoping that they don't dominate.
They don't
they won
show
the
up.
first 2 races so far this year.
So you're hoping they don't show up?
No, they need to show up, so they got a full field. But, I'd like to see, one of the regulars win.
No, I understand. I mean, look, I get it. I mean, I'm going to take. I don't know if he's going to be there though. I don't know.
That would be.
I'll still take
'cause,
Sanders. I'll take Sanders.
Yes, that's what I was just getting ready to say. He needs to knock the rust off and win one now.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Sweet's not there, I think he would have won the first two, and I think it would be a rout if he races the whole year.
Yeah, I just have a feeling with all the rain that we've received this last week or so, it's still going to rubber up in the feature for the NARC race, and then the 305s will be on a skating rink.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen.
One other thing, Dr. Midnight, he was talking about some of the work area things he was talking about.
Yeah.
All the things that he brought up was like 30 years ago. Technology and times have changed.
Yeah, I mean, look, have they? They still hand scored a lot of these tracks. They still have the same procedures in place. I don't think it's changed enough. I mean, here's a good one. I mean, we can send a crew around the dark side of the moon, but we can't call a start because we have no technology to call it. So this is a very old sport. This is it's a sport that doesn't like change. And there just aren't many technology advances as far as running the show. Now you have the scoreboard, the flagman deal at Lincoln. That's new. But nobody else is doing it. It's expensive. So I don't know. I mean, this is why I don't like the work area. It's too much for interpretation. I don't like it. That's why.
Well, it's like I said a long time ago, this is a sprint car race, there's, if a guy has a problem, but, I think High Limit has made a good adjustment to the, it deters people from going to the work area, unless you got a flat tire.
Well, it's the stopping on the track. That's the other thing. You have more people stopping on the track than you ever did because of the work area. It delays the show. That's it.
It causes fuel red flag.
Well, that too. That's very true as well.
Because so far this year, we haven't had a red flag fuel stop with the new rule in place.
Oh, with High Limit?
Yes.
Did we have one at
think
Vegas?
Their rule is better.
I think we had one at Vegas, I believe. Because that was the whole thing with Reitzel and the whole, crew didn't hear the horn. So there's been one.
You're right. You're absolutely correct. Yeah, it's first time this year I'm going to get off the couch and I'm going to go to Thunderbolt Live, taking my grandson and my wife and my daughter. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Well, you should grab Dr. Midnight and take him over.
Well, I'm hoping that he'll be there so we could discuss some of the things that happened 30 years ago and they don't actually work today.
Okay. Well, Will, thank you very much for calling. I appreciate it.
All right. Take it easy.
Yep. Have a good one. All right. Eric, let's get. Oh, Tom is back on line 12. Tom, how are you?
All right, I wanted to call back on Selinsgrove again.
Okay.
I'll give you a good reason why it's good to have two tracks. Only one guy could come in first place. Only one guy could come in second place if you have one track.
Yeah.
If you have two tracks, two guys can come in first place, two guys can then down the line. And those other guys are not going to go to Williams Grove to sit on the trailer. Because if you had 40 or if you had 30, 40, 50 cars at Williams Grove, how many of them are going to race? 24. That's all it's going to race. And I from what I heard, the drivers asked Selinsgrove to run Friday night. That's what I heard.
Well, I do know they talked.
Another thing that went around Friday night was they said Brock Zierfoss was going to be at Selinsgrove, but because of the weather, he didn't show up.
No, that's not why.
But well, that was what went around. I don't know if it's true.
Well, I know what's true because I talked to him on the phone.
But I think he started at Selinsgrove. He had a number 3. It was a pretty decent car, but he always blew the motor in it.
Well, I mean, yes, you're going to have more drivers finishing first, second, and third. That is 100% true.
Yes, yes, it is, and that would cause people to come from Harrisburg. That would give people a reason to come from Harrisburg, which Ken says no, they wouldn't. But I think Ken got turned down to be the announcer at Selinsgrove. Ken was like a junior announcer, and I think they didn't choose him as an announcer, and I think Ken has had a beef with Selinsgrove ever since. That's because I know who Ken is.
Oh, okay.
And he knows who I am.
All right. Well, I mean, we'll see. Again, we'll see how it all works out.
That's all I got.
All right. No problem. Thanks, Tom.
Right.
Yep. Bye-bye.
All right.
Dave on line 13. Dave, how are you?
Hey, Jeremy, how you doing?
Not too bad.
That was a really good deep dive you had there on Chase Johnson. That was very interesting.
Appreciate it. Chase Johnson was really, really good. I would recommend anybody who's out there who didn't see the deep dive from last week. We had Chase Johnson on, and he really opened up about the accident. I mean, more so than I thought he even would. And it was just good stuff. Credit to Chase. I hope Chase recovers. They're going to put a car back on the track. It was good stuff. I really appreciate Chase coming on the show, but check it out. It was really good. It's on our YouTube channel.
Yes, it was. Did I hear him say that he was having to tell the rescue guys what to do to get him out of the car?
Yeah, I think he was just kind of telling them what was going on with him. And obviously he had different, I don't know if he had, the safety stuff. I think he was telling them exactly how to take it off. That's what it sounded like to me when he was explaining that. I know it's something you feel should be automatic, but
yeah. I hope somebody can come up with a cure. I don't know if there is one to, don't have so many of these back injuries like we're having now with Macri out and everything.
Spine and the spine and your brain are the two things I think, I think we're still learning a lot about these injuries. I just think it's an unknown, especially the brain when it comes to concussions, anything like that, brain injuries. But yeah, I hope they can do something for him. The nice thing is it isn't severed. He said it was bruised, so I think there is a chance of recovery, and I wish him the best.
Yeah, there's somebody put a piece on there. They put him in that where they stand him up in a machine, and they give his legs moving. And it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean he's working at it. He's putting the work in to try and walk again. He's determined, and he's not bitter. It was hard. It's difficult to understand what he's gone through because, obviously I haven't gone through it.
He's so young too.
Yeah. And he's very young, but I, like I said, I give him all the credit in the world for coming on and talking about it. And I really appreciate that he did that.
That's all I got, Jeremy.
All right, Dave. Thank you very much.
Watch out for that 83. He's coming after you, buddy. That 83's coming.
Yeah, we saw that last week.
All right, buddy. See you. Goodbye.
Take care, Dave. All right. Let's see. Hit the like button. Yes. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. How about AJ Flick was glad Selinsgrove ran Friday night? Yes. AJ Flick was no doubt about it. Actually, it's a third and a first and 3 starts in that car. Made the A main at Port Royal, finished 17th. He looks pretty good. He led every lap at Selinsgrove. Jeremy, since NASCAR is racing at Kansas this weekend, could we see Larson at Lakeside with High Limit on Friday? I think it's a distinct possibility. I mean, I'm not sure what his schedule is or what the NASCAR schedule is this weekend, but I'm sure, yeah, why not? What happened with Raymer at Baps? So, took this long to get that question? That's surprising. So, he was on the pole of a heat race, and Wagaman was next to him. First start, Wagaman went early. Second start, they said Raymer went early. And then they penalized the rope, moved Dietrich up to the pole, and Chase Dietz up to second. They flopped rows. Standing on top of the big, it's a big canister in turn 4, a storage type canister. People can go up there and watch the races. You have a direct, shot of the line. I did not think Raymer jumped. I thought Wagaman spun his wheels. And one of the problems, I think, and it's really not anybody's fault, when you're in that middle groove starting on the outside, you don't have a chance to go. You spin your wheels in the slick. The bottom was wet. So anyway, Raymer finishes 4th, and they just loaded up and left. They didn't like the call. They thought it was favoritism for Dietrich, which, for obviously the Raymers and Dietrich still have issues. I think they obviously have shelved them, but I don't think the animosity is left. I don't think I'm stretching that. They just didn't like the call, and they were going to be buried, so they left. Again, I didn't think it was a great call. And first off, I don't believe in second chances. I think if you're giving people second chances on jumps, I think you're promoting jumping because people know they get a freebie. That's first and foremost. I also think they should move the line deeper into turn 4 because I think it'll help with that outside a little bit, and I think it'll be easier for them to be even at the stripe. Dietrich's start was no different. He took off. So if you're going to, and this is the problem. Now, Baps, to their credit, has somebody standing down at the line. They also have the flagman, and they get you have to have 2 people say a jump's a jump. 1 is not enough. They go with 2. Again, a couple drivers and I were on top of the canister up there. We didn't think it was a jump. Just because that outside guy, he can't really go when he's in the dead slick. It's unfortunate, but that's what happened. Jim from Buffalo on line 15. Jim, how are you?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. How about those Sabres? Atlantic Division champions. It's only been 15 freaking years, but hey, let's go.
So what's a successful year now? Is it so no matter what happens in the playoff? Because I was listening to some hockey commentators the other day, and they were saying they were talking about this. So do they have to win a first round? Is it a success already? What's the feeling up there?
Stanley Cup. I mean, that's it. I mean,
okay.
It doesn't matter where you qualify in the tournament.
Okay.
You got a seat at the table and you win the Stanley Cup. I mean, you don't play to lose or play to be satisfied. You play to win.
Hey, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying, I was just asking, what would people up in Buffalo consider a success? That's it.
I mean, quite honestly, right now we consider it a success. It's about time they got their heads out of their ass. But anyways.
They're not winning the cup, by the way.
You know what?
I'm not trying to
fine.
antagonize you. Just
That's fine. We can bet that beer that you never bought me at Knoxville on that, that I won 3 years ago. But anyways, I just want to touch on some racing stuff before people get pissed off. But
go ahead.
One thing I disagreed with you on your 98.9. Rico is supposed to be the flag bearer for the other series.
Yeah.
And the Woo is supposed to be so bad. Why can't the flag bearer of the other series make the show? It doesn't matter. He doesn't have to win. But come on, man, make the show.
Who?
I mean,
Okay,
that
stop.
team
Stop a
is
second.
loaded.
Stop a second. First off, who says Woo is bad?
Multiple people. They're always, high limits this, high limits
Okay.
that. They're so
first
much
off,
better.
they don't.
That's a bunch of crap.
They don't know. But okay, that's first and foremost. Secondly, all I pointed out was that his stats are better this year than the previous 2 years. That's it.
Yeah, I know that. But you know what? If you're going to be the flag bearer of the series, you got to make the other team show. I mean, come on, man. He's got Ricky Warner. I've seen him he could take a freaking jalopy and make it fast. That guy is magical. I don't know what the deal is. I mean, my thing is they just need to race more. I mean, for God's sake, everybody says, well, Larson just comes in. He doesn't race that much.
Okay.
You know what?
Kyle
he races
Larson's
a
Kyle
hell of a
Larson.
lot.
Yeah, Kyle Larson's different.
But you know what? You got to race to keep your reflexes sharp, and he races a lot.
Well, first off, Ricky Warner's great. I'm not taking it. Donnie was pretty good. I think sometimes we forget to mention the Donnie side of the combination that won all those races.
Well, sure. I mean, the drivers, it's a team.
Yes.
You're only as good as your weakest link. When you got two talented drivers, you should at least be able to put it in the show.
Don't disagree.
Unless you blow a motor or trash the car or something. But moving on, I thought the shows at I-55 this weekend were fantastic. You got two different tracks, 2 different nights, good race, and everybody going hard. I mean, I liked it. I mean, that place puts out a hell of a show.
I do find it funny. People say, I wish they'd race every week. They'd all be out of money by June.
Yeah, that's true. But I tell you what, I'm looking forward to Jacksonville this weekend.
So,
I love
yes.
that place. They usually put on a banger, same with Tri-State. But, is Brady Bacon going to show up and take their money? That's the question.
Well, Larson's the defending champ. But he will not be there.
I know.
He won't be there.
I know.
Don't think he'll be there.
Well, also, too, just a couple other notes. It was nice to see the penalty box in Victory Lane back at the Grove. I mean, Justin Peck needed to win a race.
Agreed.
They drove a nice race. And, this thing about multiple classes in the ASCS, I agree with the guy that called in earlier. I mean, you got to have the multiple classes to pay the back gate. I get that. Back gate pays the purse. But you know what? Instead of running the ASCS last, run them second. Do the track work, get a class on there to run the track in, and then put the ASCS traveling guys on second. I mean,
yeah, no,
that's
agreed.
the way to do it. So anyways, but that's all I got. Have a good weekend, and let's go Buffalo.
Hey, playoffs start Saturday. We're ready.
That's right. 2 TV, baby. 2 TV weekend.
You bet. Thank you, Jim. Always appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Yep. Jim from Buffalo. Hope to hear from him throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's always good to hear from Jim and talk some hockey. BAP should play Jump by Van Halen while the Heat fields are lining up. That's fun. Actually, that's funny. I would do that. Just from an entertainment standpoint. Did you talk to Macra this weekend? I did talk to him a little bit. I'm not going to go into anything we talked, but no, he's fine. But he was there. It's good to see him out. I saw Chase Johnson is putting a car together with Trey Starks. have you seen a schedule? How many races? I think it's great news. Is it 10, 11, something like that? It's going to a decent amount. It's a decent amount. They put out a release. Did you expect that many cars at Port? Yeah. Yeah, it's 7 high limit guys. So, yeah, I expected a really good car count at Port. That didn't surprise me at all. No work area T-shirts would sell better than SCU T-shirts. Yeah, I said it. Thank you. Outlaw shows have been great, Jeremy. Do you enjoy the drama and suspense of the work area like me? Awesome coverage. The gold standard. I like the 4-screen view option. I do not like the work area. It drains the show. I just don't. It's not my thing. Get in, get out. I didn't pay to see a parking lot. Well, I want to. I'm not a work area guy. Just not. There's no drama and suspense because I knew both of them were going to get out. When you go open red, in the way it transpired, you kind of knew they were all getting out at that point. So the drama was gone. Pat on line 16. Pat, how are you?
Good. How you doing tonight, Jeremy?
Not too bad.
Got a couple questions for you. First off, why is it in qualifying? It always seems like the first lap is a better time compared to their second lap. It's crazy how that goes because almost all the time the first lap is always their faster time compared to the second. You figure they come out of the chute and then they're building up their momentum, but when they come around to the second lap, they already got that momentum gone. What's your thoughts on that?
It's funny. I was thinking about that at actually this past weekend at Port Royal and also watching World of Outlaws time trials from Peevely. I've noticed that more in the last year or so. It seemed like before the second lap was, probably more than 50%. Now I think it's closer to an even split. So, yeah, I agree. I don't know if it's because maybe they move around a little bit or they do something different on that second lap just to, I don't want to use the term mess around, but I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know if it's because also, let's face it, when you go, now they're watching their phones and watching the broadcast while they're waiting and to go out. And I think maybe they just hit that first lap. And then after that, that would be my guess. I have no idea, but I have noticed a switch over the last year. That's a good catch.
It's crazy how they do that because look at Gravel. The second night of qualifying, he came out and then he ended up going right to the top on the second lap. You know what I'm saying? And usually I was shocked over that. And that's the thing. Gravel qualified is really great all the time. That's one of his really strong points. The other thing I was going to ask you, do you ever think this would ever sound correct if they would actually give out points at the shows for the guys to qualify the top 4? Because it's such a sad thing. You got a guy goes out, qualifies fast time, goes to his heat race, wins the heat race, and then draws an 8 or spins the wheel and gets a 36. It's just crazy because now your whole night just went to the wayside because everybody's so damn freaking even. And I just think it should be, there should be points awarded. Did they ever award points for qualifying?
Yes. 2013, Darren Pittman won the World of Outlaws title and it basically came down to qualifying. That being said, I can't state enough. Darren Pittman didn't drop out of a race. I don't think he finished off the lead lap of a race. So he was extremely good with KKR that year, but they did give out qualifying points and that hurt Donnie.
Yeah, I just think they ought to bring that back because, the way it is today, these guys here, that's the whole night. If you don't qualify in the first 8 spots, you ain't getting a good spot in the dash. And
True.
you know, and it's hard. And if you're on a big, let's put it this way, if you're on a big half mile, it's pretty much follow the leader, unless who gets to the first turn and makes the pass. Other than that, it's stringed out after 2-3 laps. It's stringed out, and I just think maybe it should be a little bit more emphasis on people getting, you know, points. Maybe 4 points, 4 extra points for qualifying first through to the top 4 or the top 8. All get started 8 points down, because I think it would make the points race a little bit more exciting at the end of the year.
I think it would make it more lopsided because gravel's the best. Gravel might be the best time trial in the history of this sport.
That's true. That's true.
I
They
mean,
got it. And it's amazing.
He doesn't need help.
I agree with you 100%.
It doesn't
no,
matter when he goes out. Doesn't matter.
That's the crazy thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, but anyways, I just run there past you and get your opinion on it. And hey, by the way, the Penguins are going to handle the Flyers, buddy. It ain't going to take much.
Really? Well, okay. Whoa. You can't go. So now I'm not a fan of either. Obviously, I have a Blackhawk shirt on, and they're terrible. So I'll be rooting on Edmonton and Colorado because I'm a West Conference guy. But so how many games?
Well, the first round's what, 5 games, correct?
5,
or is it they still go?
I think. Boy, that's see. They've changed the. I think
it's the best of 5.
Yeah, I think it is too. Hang on, I'll check.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say, you know, I give Flyers maybe 1 win, but you know, Penguins pretty much had their number this year, and I look at it this way: it's in there in the end because Crosby, how much more has he got left in the tank? But
it's best of 7.
Incredible hockey player.
It's best of 7.
Is it? Now that means it'll be over by the time the Kings Royals start.
Oh, so is it 4-2? Are you going with 4-2? Are you calling a sweep? What do you come on here? Because I want you to call back in.
Okay. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it 4 games to 1.
Ooh, I say it goes longer than 5. I'd say it goes longer than 5.
Now we'll see. It's exciting. It's the best time of the year.
Oh, love it.
You hope that there's some good refereeing, because I think, you know, I'd rather see a good close checking game. I hate when these guys are standing in front of the net and the referee turns the other way and the guy's just taking a stick and absolutely obliterating, cross-checking them back. And
it's a more physical game in the playoffs.
Yeah, but I do think it still comes down who comes the hottest goaltender to see the team go far.
Absolutely.
And it's usually the way it goes, because a 1-0 game, you know, there's be a lot of 1-0 or 2-0 games, but if you got a clutch goaltender that makes 40-some saves, that knocks the wind out of the other team. So
agreed.
But anyways, hey, enjoy the show. Have a great weekend, and go Posse.
All right, Pat. Thank you very much. Yep. Take care. All right. Go Flyers. I guess we have a lot of Flyers fans. I'm not one of them, but that's fine. I don't like either Pennsylvania team, but it'll be fun to watch. Santos on line 17. Santos, how are you?
Good. How are you doing, Jeremy?
Not too bad.
We're just calling to get your opinion on the, you know, the work area, and it's been touched on a lot, but the work area with Williams Grove, like, you know, with the whole adaptation with the role.
What I really haven't seen it enforced this year, so I don't really know what to think of it yet. It hasn't really come up.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, it really.
It happened with Cam Smith, so.
Yeah. Look, I like the high limit rules. I don't want to see a whole car rebuilt. I don't care. I've seen cars rebuilt plenty of times. I just don't. It's just not my thing. Now, I'm not begrudging anybody else who likes it. That's fine. I just think it delays shows more times than not. You know, I don't want to see an hour-long feature. I don't want to see 5 guys stop it on the track just so they can go to the work area, and then 2 minutes later they bring out the yellow again. It just that gets old for me.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that what happened? I know you had said about Whittle having a bent front axle, among other.
Yeah, he had a bunch of stuff.
Damaged parts on Saturday.
Yeah.
But my question is, because I wasn't there, I can only go off of what I saw in the flow replay, and then obviously comments and et cetera, et cetera. Did they wave him off because he had no flat?
Well, didn't he? I think that they went to the rule I think High Limit has. And yes, he did not have a flat.
So, yeah, because I know Bats, Lincoln, the Grove, all the main teams, track, all adapted to that same rule. Yeah, I was curious.
I'm in favor of it.
Not really your thoughts per se, because I would imagine you would be a fan of it because it severely limits work area.
Yeah, no, I'm good with it.
So.
I'm good with it.
Okay. And lastly, going off the Flyers Penguins deal a little bit here, are you at all does it surprise you at all, considering neither team was given an absolute chance at the beginning of the year based off their rosters and whatnot?
Yeah, no, I'm surprised.
And facing off one another.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised with both teams. I think they're both. I was really surprised. Penguins are an old team. They had some guys move up. Rust is one of them. I saw him play at Wilkes-Barre. I'm surprised by both teams. Absolutely. I didn't think I was kind of in line with some of the guys who I listened to who thought the Flyers were, a few years away or 2 years away from all these young players getting to the point where they could, make a serious run into the playoffs, and they're ahead of schedule. I think the same as no different than the Penguins. Now, obviously, they're an older team. You have Malkin, you have, Crosby and some other guys. It's going to be a great series. I do worry that if you're a Penguins fan, I do worry that young legs for the Flyers could wear down the Penguins. I worry about that. I'm assuming the Penguins are resting guys tonight. I didn't see they play the Blues, I believe, at like 9 o'clock. So they're probably going to drop the puck soon. I would be resting those guys. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see it. I'm not a fan of either team, but I'll definitely be watching.
I was just saying, as a Penguins fan, I'm curious to hear who you give the nod to in that series.
I think it goes 7. I'm going to give the Penguins a slight nod on experience, but I think it's 4-3.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you taking my call, Jeremy, and look forward to seeing you this weekend at the races.
All right, Santos, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Bob on line 18. Bob, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Jeremy? It's Bob from Flemington. Anyhow, the gentleman who called in about the tires and why is the first lap so much better? I worked on a car, the Bridgeport, a great sportsman, and that's a whole different animal, but usually we always try to run the time trial races because we did well.
Sure.
One of the things is we coming out there with a fresh set of tires. They're ground up. They got the natural rubbers coming through, and they seem to go so much better on that first lap than the second lap is starting to seal over already because you're putting all you can into it because you're running that car a lot different than you would for a heat or a feature.
No, that's some good insight.
Anyhow.
No, that's some good insight, Bob. I mean, after all, I've heard guys say in sprint car racing, the tires have changed yet again. They say that, I hear that usually at the beginning of every season. So that would make sense. No, I appreciate you calling and cluing us into that.
Yeah. Anyhow, I know your show is called SprintCarUnlimited. You're basically a wing guy, but, to me, any kind of sprinter, winged or non-winged, I like hearing about and watching. So,
okay.
Anyhow, that's each person's preference.
Yes. No, I don't mind I don't mind the non-wing guys. I certainly go to their races when they're in here. If I'm in the area, sometimes I'm out of the area. When they come in for Eastern Storm, they put on entertaining races. I just don't think it's a huge thing outside of Indiana, unfortunately. But they definitely put on some good racing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, yep. Anyhow, let's go Flyers. I've been a Flyers fan crying out loud probably since I was 10 years old, living in Staten Island, New York, even.
No.
Not a Rangers fan or an Islanders fan, Always something different than them. Never cared for them. So anyhow, but I think it'll be a good series. And
Yep.
Better team will win. That's all there is to it. So
unless a hot
anyway,
goaltender.
all right, thanks, Jeremy.
Yep, hot goaltender can win it. We'll see what happens there. I don't trust Stuart Skinner.
Oh yeah, but but also a good defensive line will help out too.
Yes.
You can't rely on the goaltender for everything. You need a good defensive line there too.
Well,
So,
I don't trust
anyhow.
Stuart. I
Alrighty,
don't
thanks for
trust
taking-
Stuart Skinner. So I've seen that show.
Okay.
All right, Bob.
Yeah,
take
yeah,
care.
Yeah. All right. Yep.
Yep. Bye-bye. Do you hate talking about the work area as much as you hate the work area? Yeah, after a while. It's okay up front, but then after a while, it kind of gets old. All-Stars at Atomic this weekend. Who is the early favorite? Can anyone stop Cole Duncan? I think you just named the favorite. Could Tim Schafer be a threat for the title? Watch Bryce Lucius. Times well. He's obviously been on the road a little bit now. I think he's a spicy title pick if he can stay on four wheels. Tim Schafer, obviously, Caleb Henry, Cale Thomas. And yes, it's going to be very hard to beat Cole Duncan this weekend at Atomic, but watch Bryce Lucius. Surprise pick. Who's your pick to win at Lincoln PA Posse Series race? Chase Dietz or Danny Dietrich? I'll go with Danny Dietrich this week. Chase Dietz, over under 12.5 wins this season. Well, he has 3. They're going to get a little tougher when your sanction series come around. Man, that's a nice number. Last year he had 9. I think he had 12 second place finishes last year. I think he gets to 12, so I'll say under. Just under. Why BAP's 410 car count is lower this year than last year? Some nights last year they flirted with 40 cars. I think it's twofold. I think they don't have a point fund this year, which I think is a huge mistake. One of the drawbacks of the PA Posse 410 Sprint Car Series. So I don't think you get as many of those lower guys. Their point fund was as much as Lincoln's. So, and you only had to run 10 races. So I think that's a problem. I also think this PA Posse series throws a wrench in all the weekly shows, the non-series shows. Look at this week. You had 25 at Williams Grove. You had 18. And think about Williams Grove. You had Tanner Holmes, Justin Peck. You had, who was the other high limit guy? I'm drawing a blank. That's terrible. Either way, I had it down to 22 cars. Take 2 away from Sealands Grove, which was Amatea and Kerry Madsen. You're down to 16 cars. BAPS, you had Tanner Holmes, Gio Selzy. You're down now 24. Brady Bacon's not a regular there. Now you're down to 23. Look at the regular weekly show. Marks, that's it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Drew a blank there for a minute. So here again, that's a problem. And I think the series races, once high limit starts racing every week and you're not getting these, you would have had 35 cars Saturday, and that's less than the opener at Port Royal, which was a series race, which got 38. So I think there's going to be PA series races through the year that definitely are not good either. So I think BAPS is just a victim of all that. Jeremy, given what we have seen from the the Rose number 6 the last few years and his lack of experience, what grade would you give Casey Jedrzejek so far? Pretty good run so far. You know what? I give him a no lower than a B, maybe a B plus. People got to remember, not a lot of 410 experience, and he's thrown out in the road with a team, I think it's fair to say, not funded as much as other teams. I think Casey Jedrzejek has been one of the pleasant surprises of the season. And you know what? I'm going to give him an A. I absolutely give him an A. I think he's done a great job, and I hope he remains out there. I'm pretty sure Dominic Miller got to hot lap twice before time trials at Port. First with his group and then with the last group. Is that allowed or did I miss something? I missed something apparently. Now I walked in all fairness, I walked in at the beginning of time trials. My daughter had her school play on Saturday afternoon, so I did not see it. So that's tough for me to answer. Normally I would notice something like that, but I didn't see that part. They just rolled out the first cars for time trials when I walked through the gate. Hit the like button, everyone. Yes, definitely. Thank you. Reese Moran was really fast last week. 2 top 10s with the Outlaws this year. Yeah, I mean, his best career results is I actually had it in my top 50 this week. He duplicated his best finish ever with the series when he finished 10th. Again, we have some young guys, and we'll see how they develop. We'll see if they progress. So, yes, he had a good run this week. Now you got to build on it, though, whether it's Power Eye. I don't want to see a 10th and then nothing until the next Outlaw show. Okay? I want to see progression all the way through. And I think that's the key here. When we start talking about certain guys, maybe not getting a chance or whatever, you got to show it at your other races too, not just one race on a big stage. So Reese Moran's definitely a guy I'll be watching the rest of the year. What are the highest paying races this year? Top 3. Well, both of them at the High Bank Nationals. And then Knoxville Nationals. Kings Royal paid 175 or 2. Then of course you have your 100,000. You have I think you have 7 6-figure paydays. I think you have this year, if I'm not mistaken. But the 2 at the High Bank Nationals and then the Knoxville Nationals. A lot of money. Will we see any posse travel to Western PA Speed Week? I think you could see Ryan Smith in the 6 car. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Billy Dietrich go out there. I think you could see the BK Motorsports car go out there, maybe. Dylan Norris is one that I think you could see out there. So maybe 3 or so. Those are the guys that stick out. Jim and Laura Allback should be in the Hall of Fame as owners. National Sprint Car Hall of Fame or the local Hall of Fame? Were you surprised to see Anthony Macker at the racetrack this weekend? No, not at all. If Port Royal and Lincoln can coexist, why can't Selinsgrove and Williams Grove? I think they're 2 different animals. I think, first off, they're 2 big tracks, and they're the 2 tracks that are hardest on the motors, number 1. Number 2, I think travel on a Friday night is way more difficult than a Saturday. And the bulk of your cars are, and obviously cars from up north aren't going there. So they're not going to skip Port on a Saturday and go to Selinsgrove on a Friday. And with how expensive things are, I think that's a problem. Yeah, I just think it's a different animal Saturday as opposed to Friday night. And I think there's some people who just want to run Williams Grove. It means more to win at Williams Grove. Despite what anybody thinks, when I go out to races in other areas of the country, the only track they ask me who won is Williams Grove. I think in central Pennsylvania sometimes we view Williams Grove unfavorably, but outside of this area, it's still Williams Grove. But it's definitely a different animal Friday to Saturday. Jeremy, question, why don't you go back to your old 90 at 9 theme song? It rocked. Too many complaints about the buzzer. Had to change that. When figuring an average finish, how do you handle a DNQ? I take it out because you just don't know. I mean, now, if it's a bunch of them, like with the Rico thing, it was 1 and 2. And I still had more races this year than last year. If you take the DNQ out last year at this same weekend, it was 7 races. You take the 2 DNQs out this year, and it was 8 races at the same time frame, which is mid-April. When you're dealing with a small number of DNQs like that, you can only go by average finish. You can't count DNQs. So what you do is you'll say, and it's in the wording too, you say, okay, he had an 8. Let's say I'm doing something for half the year. I'll say, well, he has an average finish of 6.8 for 30 races, but he also has 3 DNQs. So you're kind of hitting on every level there. It's just how you present it. And for the purposes of comparing Rico's 2 starts to the season, I just took him out because it was 1 and 2. It wasn't a big difference. Marquee events, rate your top 5 sprint car races of 2026. Well, they didn't happen yet. I mean, I can tell you the ones that are on the top of my list every year. Kings Royals number 1 and number 2. It's my favorite race. I love going to Eldora. I think I'd watch street stocks go around that place. Love it. So Kings Royal number 1. Number 2, Knoxville Nationals. It's still the Knoxville Nationals. I like big events. So, and marquee, as you said, marquee events. After that, it's really kind of a toss-up. And I'm not really 100% sure what races I'm going to yet. I probably will go to the High Bank Nationals, and I'm interested to see with the amount of money they're paying that week, it's off the charts. And they got new clay. So I'm interested to see. So I would say the High Bank Nationals and probably the Weichert weekend or the Tuscarora 50 weekend. The National Open's in there. You start to split hairs. But I like marquee events. I like the big events, sanction shows. Speed Week's always great. But Eldora's the Kings Royals number 1, and then Knoxville and I think High Banks this year. When the driver is not the car owner, does the driver get all of the proceeds from merchandise sales, or is it split with the car owner? Everybody's deal is different. That depends on the driver and the split they have. I've seen different deals in place. Does a series like the All-Stars or a national tour do track prep themselves or leave it up to the track people? That was the worst racing surface I've seen at Attica. I know I know the Outlaws have not controlled the track surface in years, probably since Ted Johnson owned it. Everybody thinks that, the Outlaws tell the Grove what to do. That's not true. So high limit, I think if there's a problem, Mike Hess will address it with the track. Like last year before they went to Texas. Everybody knew that Texas was a problem in years prior. So I do know that Mike Hess went down there and helped them. So I think if it becomes an issue, I think the series will step up. Attica, I doubt seriously the All-Stars had anything to do with it. Doubt seriously. Will Gio be at the outlaw race at Lincoln asking for a friend? Braden, you're terrible. No, he will not be. Jesus. It's a little bit of an inside joke there, but no, he will not. Did you get your Speed Week shows yet for SprintCarUnlimited.tv? I have not heard anything yet. Still waiting. Was a good time show at the Grove Friday. What do you think? Yeah, the Grove's doing a good job. Kevin Nouse is doing a good job with the time. I think probably the biggest improvement is between the Consies, if there are any, and the A-Main. That's where they used to blow time. It was painful. So I'm optimistic for their weekly shows. They've been pretty good. What are some things in the industry, tracks locally, do you think would help draw more fans, or even things you'd personally like to see? I think first and foremost, I talked about this a week ago, so I'll make it quick. I think you do 50% off deals at the beginning of the year. I think you got to make fans feel like they're getting a deal. I would run some ticket packages for my weekly stuff. I would run any kind of just giveaways for fans, cheaper pricing for fans, deals. I'd run bundles for concessions. I would be in the schools. I'd be trying to get to younger fans. Colton Gauss does a lot of this at Babs Motor Speedway, and I think it works. So it would be a lot of fan engagement. I think fans want to feel a part of the show. I think they want deals. I think they'll support a track if they know the track, quote unquote, feels the bite of some of the costs. Just even if it's hey, we're going to do a $5 night. I know Babs is doing it. And I think some of those fans will come back because they'll, for the higher costing shows, because I think they'll be, hey, look what he did for us before. I think it builds goodwill. And I think tracks need to build goodwill with their fans and gets you some grace, especially when bad things happen. Maybe if you have a rubber up racetrack. Maybe if you do have to charge $40 for a show. I think you gain grace. It's no different than when a track makes a bunch of improvements. You have a 5-year grace period before people start complaining again about the facility. It's no different. Same concept. So I think those are the things that I would focus on at this point to get more people to the track. Do you predict any more top fives for the 1W? I hope so. I don't root on drivers and teams, but damn it, I was rooting on John Westbrook. That car, him finishing 25 laps was good to see, much less a fourth place run by Buddy Schweibens. Does he get another top five? I think I'm going to say yes in a yellow breeches race. It will. I find it hard to believe it'll happen in a sanctioned show or a speed week show, but they timed well. So yes, one more in a yellow breeches race. I'm rooting for him. You talk about overscheduling in PA. Look at Missouri and Iowa overscheduling. High limit, Woo, IRA opener, Knoxville opener, Farmington. What do you think car counts will be? I assume you mean with this week. Here's the difference with PA. PA has over 100 races a year in the span of 2.5 hours. That's ridiculous. So, and 17 sanction shows. And that's not even me counting the All-Stars. So it's really 19. Look, it's never good to be oversaturated, especially in an area that, and I assume you mean this week. with High Limit at Lakeside, then Lucas Oil, and then Woo at Jacksonville, and then Hopstot, IRA opener. Knoxville opener's free to the public. I would think Knoxville might, to me, should do better than any of them. I don't know what the weather is, but yeah, look, it's just sometimes it can't be avoided, but you do wonder what people are thinking sometimes. What's your opinion on the depth of field with High Limit? I'm not saying there isn't a talented pool, but I feel that some of the depth and different drivers on the podium comes from the inverts. But they don't invert. They don't invert. The high qualifier starts fourth and everybody else is heads up. So let's say there's 4 heat races. The top 4 in time start fourth, and then the next 4 start on the pole of the heat race. So your heat winner and your fast qualifier go. They don't take the top 2 finishers unless that guy doesn't, the fast qualifier doesn't qualify. And that happens rarely. So I don't think there's really no inverts. And then you just spin the wheel. I just think they have a lot of guys who are kind of in the same class. I also think, too, Tyler Courtney's still coming off an injury. I think Aaron Reitzel, to me, and Tanner Thorson so far have been the class of the field, and they've been sharing the wins. I think Gio Scelzi, it's a new team from scratch. It's not a new team just, hey, we had all the equipment. They didn't even have the equipment. So that is from scratch. So I think the fact that he has all top 10s, except for the first race of the season, I think is good for Gio Scelzi. I think Justin Peck's going to be better. I think you're going to see Justin Peck get better. I just think there's a lot of transition and moving parts in High Limit right now. Justin Peck, new motors, new crew chief, new everything except driver. Gio Scelzi, team from scratch. Brent Marks changes the entire crew. Tyler Courtney coming off an injury that kept him out 6 months. Aaron Wrights was the only person who hasn't had a change in Tanner Thorson. And guess what? They're doing well. Rico Abreu, TSR, purchased Speedway Motors, and he's active in it. What's Ricky Warner's health like? There's a lot of moving parts in High Limit. So I think it's going to take longer for those teams to kind of get going here. That's not an excuse. They're still not going to beat Buddy Kofoid and David Gravel. They're not. Those are the 2 best guys by far in this sport right now. Nobody's in their league. But I do think there's a lot of I just think there's a lot of transition with High Limit this year. Will this string of performances by AJ Flick get him more seat time in Central PA? He's still going to run his car. He has sponsor commitments. So I don't think it develops into a full-time ride, especially in that car. I think the plan is still for Mike Walter to come back from his health issue. They're not really sure what it is. So I just think he's filling in. And he's going to run his car when he has to. Thoughts on young guns in Central PA like Rumsey, Cam Smith, Latimus, Schweibens? You were close on Schweibens. It's Binz. I like them all. I like Rumsey a lot. Cam Smith has already shown he can win. Schweibens has been impressive in his first 12 races. Latimus is probably the one where I'd say I need to see more. I need to see more out of Latimus when it comes to that group, but I think Rumsey's going to be decent. He's had some top 10s. Cam Smith, like I said, has won races. And I think he's in a good car. And Schweibens, 11th with the World of Outlaws at New Egypt. That's not bad. And you only have 12 410 races in your career. And that was last year before he had 6 this year. Who does Kofoid's engines? It's Toyota. And it's Ryder. He had a Ryder in this week, I believe. It's Ryder and Speedway, but he might have switched over to Ryder now. I'm not sure. But I believe he had a Ryder in this week, but they're Toyota Motors. Jeremy, do you think Cy Lynch could get his first career win with High Limit this year? I do. Again, I don't. Boy, they were bad at Port Royal. Whew. Not good. He got in the slick and he kind of just didn't look comfortable. Made the A main, but I think he gets one somewhere. Like I could see him winning a prelim at Silver Dollar or something like that. I think he gets one somewhere. All right, that's a wrap on the questions. Eric, I guess, says we got to all of them. Did we get? Yep, he's giving me the thumbs up. Thank you very much to everybody who joined the chat, everybody who called. It was a very active on the phones tonight, which is good. I'm going to go watch some hockey and do my 90 at 9. But again, thank you very much, and I appreciate you guys joining the show. We'll be back next week.